he goes.
That's otter.
Hey, buddy.
Look. Norris.
Norris, buddy.
Norris came to us from a wildlife rehabilitation center in Michigan, the Howell Wildlife Center. They discovered that his vision wasn't as proper as it should have been. So they realized that he was not going to be releasable. And we had been looking for another mammal that our education department could handle, and the woodchuck seemed to be a good fit. We're training Norris so that he can be handled by our educational staff to become an ambassador animal, so he can teach people about the biosystem that he affects and what he brings to the cycle of life. So by doing that, we have to neuter him, because when male woodchucks become mature, they can be very defensive or very, their personality changes, and we don't want Norris's personality to change. Right now, he is a sweet little boy, and we want to keep him that way so he can be handled by the many interns or educational staff that are going to handle him. Are you here with Norris? Oh. Dr. Nate, he's being neutered this afternoon. And there he goes.
That's otter.
Hey, buddy.
Come on over. Look. Yeah, so we're just, he's got some sedatives on board already that we gave him an injection of earlier. So now he's just getting some gas anesthetic to go to sleep. So looking for epiglottis, which is the opening to the trachea. When we pass the tracheo so I'm gonna turn him down to like 2.5.
Okay.
Just because he's going to do everything fast.
What time is it? 2:28.
Can I shake you while you're falling asleep? I'm just going to put a sterile drape over him here. Yeah, well, so part of the problem with a lot of rodents is that their testicles will shrink considerably during the non-breeding season. And so they can actually slip back and forth into the abdomen. So that's A-okay. We're just moving on to plan B. So plan B is to go into the actual abdomen here. And we'll find them on the other side of the pelvis. There is the first one. Yep, so we just found the second testicle. It's down right next to Norris's bladder here. So that's actually on the outside at the moment. We'll put it back in a sec. So now we're just gonna clamp off both sides here and tie off the blood vessels. Do a quick check, make sure nothing else is bleeding in there, and wake Norris up. Just gonna go right under the surface here because I don't want any sutures on the outside for Norris to chew on. So I'm just using a little skin glue or tissue adhesive. So that will hold the skin edges together while they heal, so that we don't have to put any sutures that we would then need to remove later.
So we collect the feathers to send to SIA, the Comanche Nation Ethno-Ornithological Initiative. And we're sending them because Native peoples across North America historically have used these feathers for cultural or religious purposes. But there are laws in place that are designed to protect our native bird species from poachers and other ways that people might illegally take them. And this is now the only way that those feathers can go to those indigenous people who need them. We get the feathers from a few different sources. The easiest source that we get them from is our live animal collection. So we have owls and falcons and ravens, all kinds of birds that live here at the WildCenter. And each year, those birds go through a process called molting, where they lose their old feathers and then grow new ones. If you have a dog at home that sheds, it's really similar to that. Another way that we can get feathers, another source, is from birds that are donated to us that have passed away under the care of a wildlife rehabilitator. So if an animal has passed away, they can donate those feathers to us as feathers, or they can donate the whole carcass of that bird. We'll put it in with our dermisted beetle exhibit. That way it can actually teach people in that sense as well to continue on kind of the educational aspect of that bird's life.
If they're at a really high population level, they can break down a red-tailed hawk within a week or two. But if they're at a lower population level, then it might take them a little bit longer to do that.
And then once the beetles are done processing it, we'll collect the feathers and then send them out. The third way that we collect the feathers is from animals that lived here at the WildCenter and then pass on under our care. And it does happen. It's not the funnest part of working with animals, but it is a really crucial part, and it's part of our responsibility as their caretakers to make sure that we're with them throughout that process and that we give them a comfortable end of life as well. So some of the feathers that we're sending along today are actually from Artemis, a peregrine falcon who lived here at the WildCenter for a few years and recently passed away due to old age. So she passed away naturally, and we knew that we could continue her legacy of learning through having these feathers go to people who need them, to maybe be passed around from generation to generation of indigenous people. So for me, I was really close to Artemis. She was a bird that I worked with here at the WildCenter for years, and I loved her. It still hurts me to talk about her a little bit, but I find comfort knowing that her spirit will live on and will have an impact on people. For me, that's the greatest thing I could hope for after she's passed on.
All right, little buddy. As long as Norris is asleep, we're gonna take this opportunity to just give him a good exam on the parts of Norris we don't usually get to see. Incisors look good. They're wearing nice and evenly. I'm just gonna give him a quick nail trim while he's asleep.
Manny Petty was sleeping?
Yes. Do you like polish on those? Right.
You ready, buddy? Yeah.
Yeah, wait.
So Norris is just waking up from his anesthesia, so he's still pretty groggy, but we're keeping a close eye on him, making sure he keeps doing okay and continues to wake up. We're hoping that he'll be wide awake but happy and calm by the time he goes home. So he's waking up now. We're just putting some food in with him. Rodents have a tendency to have their intestines slow down quite a bit when they're under anesthesia, and so we don't want him to get backed up and get dehydrated and uncomfortable. We also want to try and distract him, so if he's got something to eat, he's less likely to turn around and check out his incision. Pleasure as always, Ruth.
Good to see you again. I won't.
Certainly acting normal. He doesn't seem painful. I don't see any swelling, so I'm really happy with how he's healed up. Now we're just waiting for his hair to grow back, and that probably won't happen until spring when he sheds again.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because he doesn't have to live outside this winter.
No, he doesn't. He's in a. He left his incision entirely alone.
Yeah.
What's going on with Norris right now is that he's recovered from his surgery, so he's still showing his beautiful personality of being very friendly. He loves bananas. He loves to have treats, and his favorite food is actually rodent pellets. He will do training very well with his rodent pellets. We try to give them a motivator so that we know that we're getting the proper training. So when he does something, we want to mark it and say, yep, that's what we want, and then we reward him by giving him some of his favorite food, which would be mostly rodent pellets. From here on out, he's off of quarantine. Our quarantine is usually 3 months and 3 negative fecal samples. So he's had that. So he's off of quarantine. So now we're just training him to be handled and to be out into the public and to want to be an ambassador animal. So the fellows have been noticing some behavior between Scarlett and Diwene. So there was some mounting behavior. She screamed a little bit and then she knocked him off, but because she's from the southern zone, she could be coming into estrus.
So are you thinking that there was actual breeding happening?
Yeah, because we've seen them,
I've seen them wrestling. We have boys and girls together, so I guess it's not completely surprising.
No, they are all at that mature age where they're all gonna test the water, so to speak.
Okay.
And
Well,
so,
now what, Ruth?